tweet about it. Knock mine down by a scale of 10.
God bless football, Mike Golic.
Which Mike Golic you talking about?
That's fair point.
You.
God bless football, son.
God bless football, Justin.
Ditto.
Well said. I must say, we're doing God Bless Football live from New York City, brought to you by my plan from Verizon, the plan for fans. Thank you to Verizon, because I finally have a reason to watch the Jets, and I can do it from South Florida. So I am looking forward to that. So thank you to our friends with Verizon, also with DraftKings, of course, as well. Golic, I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
Here he goes.
Before we start, my son already knows about you. Obviously, you can all just see on stage, or anybody that's watching, one of these things doesn't belong. Notre Dame, good looking. Stugotz.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'd like to say, Justin, right now is I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for what's about to happen for the next 45 minutes and how he may embarrass you.
Well, listen, we talk about this backstage, and it's like Notre Dame, good looking. We kind of rise the cream up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like if you put a cake in the oven, the heat rises. And I was just saying meat, and the Golics are heat. And you have
So you think we're going to
So
raise
hopefully
his level?
we kind of,
I've never felt smaller, Mike. I mean,
you've never looked smaller.
No,
but I will tell you, I have as many national championship rings as everyone on this stage.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
there we
I'm
go.
glad you went national.
Yeah, I was going to say, you chose your words carefully, because if you went up a level, all of a sudden you'd have problems.
So,
I mean, at least we were in the fight.
right.
That is true.
Shot.
Do you consider yourself friends with Mike Golic and Mike Golic Jr.? So what Mike is trying to say is, hopefully after 45 minutes, you'll still have a friendship with them. And if you don't, it's because of me.
I just know that we're not friends. I know after 45 minutes, we're
Still won't be friends.
We still won't be friends. We'll see about that, Justin. We'll see. I have a way about me. I can turn that around pretty quickly.
South Florida is hot nowadays, huh?
It's hot here.
Well, not South Florida hot.
Nothing South Florida hot.
What is the 100-degree temperature of water there? Or something?
The ocean temperature the other day was 111 degrees.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Imagine, I go back to I always think of this time of the year for at least three of us up here when training camps go on. And I don't know where you are now, or you are, Mike, where you guys are with this. Mike, you're the youngest. I sit there and watch a camp now and can't believe that we had uniforms on, shoulder pads on, helmets on, in 90-degree weather with the humidity, and we're not going to crap out of one another. It just seems so foreign now that I'm 60 years old.
Listen, I guess I'm the second oldest here, so I don't want to sound like the old head that's like, oh, back in my day. But can you call it camp now?
Well, listen, I didn't want to say that. If I sit there and talk about how training camp is now, I'm that old guy on the lawn with my hose saying, "Get off the lawn!"
You were that guy in 2013.
Shut up.
Well, I'll be that guy.
What is that?
I'll be that guy. I had old school Tom Coughlin, so like I obviously know your area was worse than my area, but like at least I had Tom who put it closer to your area than most. And now I go to visit some of these camps, so I'm just like, y'all, how long were you on the field? And you couldn't touch who? And
yeah, one padded practice a day. Next can't be padded. So it's definitely different. The one thing Mike and I were talking about, and Justin, I want to ask you as well, and Stugotz, unfortunately, you won't be able to answer this.
Yep.
And for anybody that goes out and watches their team in training camp or something, is the off season where we would work out and then we would come back and have to do a test. Like that, we would have to train in the off season for a specific test, a running test and a lifting test. And I would like to know, I know what Mike's was, Justin, but yours. So I got in the league in 1985 and played till 1994. So again, I'm 60, I'm the old man. When I got drafted by the Houston Oilers, our conditioning test going to camp was a 12-minute run. You run for 12 minutes and you have to go a certain distance in 12 minutes. When I got to Philadelphia, the running test was an 880. Now imagine 320-pounders running an 880. So and you have to make it in a certain time. Quite honestly, and this is, in all honesty, the training back then was horrible. I mean, how dumb is that? I mean, you're not training for football at all. You have to spend time working on a 12-minute run or an 880 run to try and pass the test while you need to be concentrating on football. It's the NFL. I mean, either be ready or you're going to get cut.
100%.
So what was your test? Did you guys have?
So
have
we
tests?
had what we called gassers. So across the field and back.
Sideline back,
Sideline
sideline back. Yeah.
And we had to run 20 of them. So we run 10 and take a break, and then 10 and run and take a break. The hard part about it was because Coach Coughlin, because I had Michael Strahan, OC Manure, myself, then JPP and all. He looked at us as like tight ends and like really skilled, fast D linemen instead of like being the regular D lineman time. So we had to run like the skilled time. So whatever the tight end, in some cases like running back's time was, we had to run that equivalent. So for us, it was, I think I remember it was 11 seconds. So that's the only thing that made it difficult for us. And that was a little bit more football oriented, a little bit more football oriented.
Yeah.
But I remember in college, we used to have to run, I think it was 3 300s, 4 200s, and 10 hundreds. And that was our conditioning test. And that wasn't, I didn't find that to be football oriented.
No.
It made sure you was in shape.
We run 40.
But that's a coach's trick to try to make sure you guys are working out.
Well, that feels like coaching busy work.
Right.
Exactly. Make sure you was on the field.
Exactly.
When I'm not around,
you were
you're
doing
going to be on the field doing something.
But, and then you get whatever a coach feels like doing. Mike, when you were telling me when you were in New Orleans, Sean Payton was the coach. He was going through a CrossFit phase and decided to make that one of your guys.
Oh yeah, you would see Sean Payton in the indoor facility in New Orleans, and he'd be like pushing the sleds and doing a lot of like the dynamic CrossFit stuff. And so we're at the Greenbrier in West Virginia for training camp, and you look down on the field, and there's everyone across there pushing sleds back and forth across the field, doing med ball slams, sit-ups. It was the weirdest conditioning test I've ever been a part of, the one I hated the most and the one I did the worst at because I had been living in New Orleans for 3 months, mainlining beignets on stage. So that was...
Well, it's funny you say that about Sean because I in Notre Dame, I had Coach Willingham. And Willingham was the fittest coach I've ever been around in my life. But his punishment for like if you miss class or you got a personal foul in the game or whatever, he called his 6 a.m. Workouts.
Right.
And because he was this fit person who, roller skated to practice and all around campus, and
that's incredible.
He used to make us do 5-minute stations. And when I tell you, you had to jump rope. Like, have you ever tried to jump rope without stopping for 5 minutes straight?
Ugh.
Sit-ups, 5 minutes straight.
It doesn't sound like a lot of time.
I've never tried jump
crazy.
roping.
Yeah.
But like, that was his way of saying, like, all right, if you're gonna do these things not necessarily the way of Notre Dame, I'm going to punish you. Like waking up at 6 a.m. in the winter in South Bend, Indiana, walking through 10 feet of snow to get to this workout with Coach Willingham was like the last time you did anything in that regard, because just go home and try to do 5 minutes of jump roping. And I'm in the best shape of my life as an 18, 19-year-old kid. I'm thinking like 5 minutes of jump roping, yeah, okay. If you stop, you start over. So you had to continuously do it for 5 minutes.
Oh, so you had to be good at it too.
Right. Yes, like Rocky type good.
I mean, like he didn't care. He didn't care if it hit your foot and you had, but like you couldn't like be like.
Right. Stop and catch your breath.
Wait, did either of you guys ever fail any of these tests? Like Mike, did you pass all your tests?
I passed. Listen, I was a 10th round draft pick. Yes, you younger people, there was a time when the draft was more than 7 rounds.
Wow.
I was a 10th round draft pick when it was a 12 round. So. No, I was too scared to not pass a test.
Why? What would have happened if you didn't pass the test?
You got to keep doing it, and you're not practicing.
What if Reggie White didn't pass that same test, though?
If Reggie White didn't pass the
Yes.
test, Buddy Ryan would say, "Reggie, try a little harder next time, baby." Go ahead, bud.
Right.
Which was cool. I get it. Listen, there's a hierarchy in the locker room. Everybody knows about it, so it would not have affected me at all.
There's a famous Jimmy Johnson quote. He's like, "Listen, I'm going to treat all of my players fairly, but if you think Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman is their level of fair is the same as your level of fair."
Right.
It's a different story.
Well, I mean, Jimmy told us on our show that he once walked into the quarterback room and Marino was dead asleep, but so was the backup. The backup got cut. Marino was fine.
Hey, you're not going to do that. It's like if I jumped off sides, they pull me off the field. If Reggie jumps off sides, they say, "Oh well."
They moved the ball. The center moved the ball.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. No problem. All right, Stu, we've wasted enough time of wanting to get this out. Go ahead, Aaron Rodgers. There's news on Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I mean, he's going to be a New York Jet for not one, but 2 seasons. Jet fans, let's hear it. Let's go. All 3 of you.
Saving the money, right?
He's saving them like $35 million. So they'll have some cap space next year to work with. Listen, as a Jet fan, I've been a Jet fan for 40 years. We've had like 107 quarterbacks. When you have 107 quarterbacks, you guys know what that means? You've never had a quarterback, okay? And so now we have one. And we have one of the greatest of all time. And to get him for 2 years is very exciting. I know you're a Giant. I know you won a couple of Super Bowls. But it's been a misery for me for 40 years. And for most Jet fans. And so for a minute, let us be excited.
Well, my question is, you're not 40, correct?
No.
So
35.
Who are you a fan of previously before you switched over to the Jets? And what made you switch over to the Jets? Because that just seems like not your best decision making.
So the Jets were just good. I grew up in Long Island. So the Jets played at Shea Stadium at the time.
So who are you a fan of?
Joe Walton was the coach. Richard Todd was the quarterback. Johnny Lamb
Oh, no.
Jones.
He made this mistake like early in life. He's
Like,
a Jets lifer.
They were just
He
good
chose
enough
them.
to suck this kid in to be a Jet fan. So I think, like 40 years ago, I'm 50 now. 40 years ago, I became a Jet fan. Went to see him at
a
Shea
fan of
Stadium.
football for the first team?
Nah.
'Cause I was hoping you would say, just be honest, that you was a Giant fan and we was trash back then, and you saw like this halo effect on the Jets or something like that.
I will tell you,
Suffered ever since.
there's many.
Bandwagon jumping. That's what I was hoping to get out of you there.
There's many a season I wished I was a Giant fan, I'll be honest with you. But I think New Yorkers know this. It kind of goes like this. If you were out on Long Island,
Sure.
you're Jets, Mets, Islanders, and then we're all saddled with the Knicks, unfortunately, right? And then if you live in like Connecticut, Jersey, New York City, that area, it's Giants, Yankees, and Rangers. And so that's how it works.
Basic
So,
success and
yes.
Yeah.
And I had 4 cups with the Islanders in the 80s. That's
that's
it.
true.
And the Mets in 86, and that's about it. But are you tired of hearing about the Jets? Honestly, as a
You know what?
former Giant.
We were talking about this, and I was like, because my life is kind of transitioning in something other than just football all day, every day. I'm really not. I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for New York City. I actually loved it when Mark Sanchez and that whole crew and Buddy Ryan, not Buddy, but Rex Ryan had success
Yeah.
with the Jets, because it just made the rivalry, and whatever that people want to make of the rivalry. I know we're in the AFC and the NFC, but it made the rivalry fun. And it's just like, it was good to go into restaurants and start to see the Jet fans start to kind of rise up a little bit. It gave us that opportunity to kind of knock you guys down
Right.
when we did. So like, obviously we've kind of won that recent battle against kind of like the Jets-Giants rivalry, but I actually think it's good for not only the NFL in general, but I think it's good for, especially for the city.
How about stay on the rivalry thing and not the city thing? How about like, you know, when I was in Philadelphia with the Giants, we hated.
Sure.
Were you again played after me? So
Yeah.
was it the same thing that there was?
Honestly,
that
I
hate?
think the hatred is different when it comes to like, all right, I really hate the Cowboys. There's no like.
Yeah, I'm with
there's
you
no.
there.
I'm
You don't
not even-
hate the Jets. I mean,
No, that hate
Jets
was
are
not
like
there.
the little brother.
But like with
Yeah,
Philly,
little brother.
it's
Different
like
conferences, I mean.
I actually respect Philly. My wife is from Philly. I got a lot of love for Philly. I went to school in Philly. I actually like the city. So like the hatred is not. It's more just football. Like, I don't even like people from Dallas. Like, it's like, like I don't even like the state of Texas. That's kind of the hatred. But with the Philly thing, just because we're so close and there's been a lot of divisional games that have come down and like really being important in like where we go in the playoffs and all this stuff, that is probably the height, the higher kind of rivalry when I'm talking about the Giants in general. So the Jets, it's more like we play each other once every 4 years. We play in a preseason game.
Preseason game, right.
Who cares?
I am with you, though, that it does feel good to have that force there, and we hit it at the perfect time because of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a while. Like, we had the early 2000s heyday of Hard Knocks with, like, Ray Lewis and those Baltimore Ravens team. You had the Rex Ryan Jets teams back in the day. Let's go get a damn snack. All that stuff. But I feel like it's been a while. And coming off how good that quarterback series was on Netflix, getting to look at some
So
of those
good.
guys,
Yeah.
I feel like now you had bad teams that you get strong arm into this. You had Detroit last year, who everybody fell in love with through Hard Knocks, or at least I did. I didn't have a dog in the fight, and I loved that team. Yeah. And now it feels like you're going to get a Jets team that's got the perfect mix of young dudes that all seem to definitely live their life online, live their life out in front of everybody. You've got some of the best young players in the league in, Sauce and Garrett Wilson. And then you've got a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who, when he's around a microphone, is no stranger to sharing his opinion on certain things. So it seems like the perfect storm, Stugotz.
Well, I mean, literally, they were a quarterback away last year. And so now we have our quarterback. I mean, we'll see with that defense.
I don't know about that.
They had 7 wins with Zach Wilson, man.
Here's the thing.
7 wins with that quarterback.
Here's the thing. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but in that division, if they don't win the division, I find it very hard for them to have a wild card coming out of that division because of who else is in that division.
Because of how good that division is.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
where the Patriots are the worst team in that division.
You're probably going to have to win 12 games to win that division.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Stugotz, you're down in Miami. You see that roster.
No, the Dolphins are good. The whole AFC, the landscape, the entire AFC is great.
I don't know if the Jets, even with the greatness of Rodgers, is the #1 team in that division. That's the only thing I would say is for you guys to come and get into the playoffs, you got to win it. So now you got to go to Buffalo.
Yep.
That team is going to be better because they're still. I remember being the Buffalo of the NFL where we felt like we were the best team and didn't do it in 08 and came back in 09 and 10 and then in 10 win the Super Bowl. They're going to have a phenomenal year if they stay healthy. Miami is exciting, and if Tua stays healthy, God knows what that offense is going to do. I mean, and how can you count out Belichick? He's going to figure it out again. I just believe in it because I've fought with that guy too much.
It's also good to know they got a legit coordinator this
Yeah,
year.
100%.
What
So
the hell they were trying to do last year, sorry.
So like, listen,
He knows it better than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
yeah.
gonna
lived through that last
come out of that playoff run. But I mean,
What you're saying is you have to win that division or else you're afraid the Jets won't get in because it's not just that division.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the Bengals, it's the Chiefs, it's the Chargers, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars,
So-
and there's like 2 good teams in the NFC.
think about what they're gonna have to do to get the wild card.
Right.
Is it a 10-win team that gets the wild card? 11-win team that gets the wild card?
I don't know.
And like, I do believe that all things equal, Rodgers can be the difference in 4 wins. I do. I mean, from what y'all had last year to him, could he make up 4 wins? Yeah.
So that gets us to 11.
But that's if all things equal. Right?
And that's the AFC. You look at the NFC, there's basically the Eagles, and it's amazing to say, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy's healthy, of what he did last year, and then after that, where do you go? Now, the Giants, I know there's Giant fans
You
here.
telling me the Cowboys aren't going to win the Super Bowl?
No. Every year since 1996, the last time they did it, Jerry Jones says, we're building a Super Bowl team here. Been building it's a lot of cement and brick they've been laying.
Hey, Zach Martin.
But,
Be paid?
Yes.
You did get 3 teams out of the NFC East, with Philly, with Dallas, and the Giants, and now the Giants just get Saquon, underpaid at, maybe $11 million, but $11 million is still $11 million. And
Giants fans got to be quietly oh man, this is awesome. We got him for how much? Oh, I feel really bad for you. This is great.
Yeah.
Oh, Giant fans have to love that sign.
Oh my God!
Joe Shane got one over on Saquon Barkley.
Well, I mean, Joe Shane didn't do anything like the sport of football.
This is how it
Okay, but he got that guy to sign that contract and agree to a deal that he should never have agreed to.
There was no way, at least I thought, there was no way Saquon was holding out. No way he was sitting out for the year. I don't think Josh Jacobs is. Tony Pollard signed the franchise, so he has to go. But, for everybody, I mean, all of a sudden on Twitter you have all the geniuses of they can fix the running back problem. There's no fixing the running back problem right now. There's another 7 years of the CBA. Now, not to say you can't work side deals if you want here and there, but one thing I'll say, and Mike, you know this, and Justin, you know this, about the union's job is to represent the players, and the union's job is to represent the majority of players. So everybody throwing out the ideas that they're going to change any part of the system to help the running backs or the franchise tag players, forget. Because they're not going to help the few, because what happens in a negotiation when you want to get something for somebody, you got to give up something. And the union is not going to give up something that hurts the mass to help the few. It's just not going to happen. So I don't know when or if this running back situation is going to turn around again. I don't know. But right now, there's not a whole. I know they had their Zoom call and they all had their little bitch session, which is fine.
That had to be so sad.
Yeah,
but
it had to be.
At what point do you get on the Zoom call? Because it starts with good intentions. Everyone's upset about this. Everyone's heart's in the right place. And then halfway through, you're like, oh, there are really no good ideas to fix
we're
this
just
right
saying
now.
the same thing over and over.
And you're also yelling at Christian McCaffrey, who has a $50 million contract.
That is true. I
hey,
love
what are you
the
doing
thought
here?
of like Christian
Why
being
are you
over
in
there
this
like,
Zoom?
yeah, this is some bull stuff. I can't believe they're doing this to you guys. That's crazy. That's crazy what they've done.
Like, that just goes back to my point, right? If you think about the difference in most running backs and the guy who got paid and the guys who will continue to get paid, is Christian is going to be on the field for 3 downs.
Yep.
Regardless of what offensive.
So is Eckler, though.
Well, I'm saying, I actually think Eckler should be getting paid too, because if you think about it from an offensive coordinator perspective, right? The reason why the running back position is somewhat not as marketable, not as favorable as it has been, is like 5 wides, 4 wides. Mm-hmm. You got wide receivers now, I'm blanking on his name, the guy from San Francisco, that are coming in and playing the running back position.
Oh, Debo, yeah.
Debo, yeah.
I can't believe I forgot.
Cordell Patterson transition.
But that is the world that we live in right now. It's like all right. I started watching football in a world of big, powerful Reggie White type DNs. Well, by the time I got in the league, I was the model of the NASCAR package, and the DN was not only rushing the quarterback, but he was covering the running back out of the backfield, a tight end in the slot, or dropping in the coverage, or playing the joker and moving around and playing different positions. So that brought a more of a valuable commodity, because you got this one player that can do multiple things. Same thing with a running back. If you want to be the Christian McCaffrey of the world, well, look at what he's done. He's not only giving you over 1,000 yards rushing, but he is possibly giving you 1,000 yards catching. And like, as a defensive player, knowing that, like, oh my God, I got to face that guy, and there's this array of things that he can do, just not lead open or counter roll. Then that's why you're going to see these guys either make more money and continue to move that position forward, or be in this situation where they're fighting for, I hate to say $11 million scraps, but they're fighting for scraps.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what a lot of people end up saying. It's still $11 million. And we always say it's relative to the sport.
Sure.
You have to keep that in mind. We certainly appreciate Verizon giving us a chance to talk football with you guys. Verizon's new My Plan and Verizon Home Internet customers can get this season's NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV on us, on Verizon. So we appreciate that very much. And I don't know when or if it's going to come back for a running back. So that's a story to keep going.
Mike, the running backs were the stars when you were playing.
Well, they were the stars.
Stars of the league, yes.
It wasn't 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but you had to stop the run. I know when we were game planning, you had to stop the run, especially the division we were in, stopping the running backs in our division, like an Emmitt Smith, because if you didn't, that just set up the pass too easily. Now it's the pass setting up the run.
Right.
So how it may end up coming back at some point, you have lighter defenses. And when I say lighter, I mean small edge rushers. The edge rushers that are playing now were tweeners in my day and didn't have a spot in the game. The 6'2", 200, and the Dwight Freeneys of the world, who is a Hall of Fame player. He didn't play in my era because he was too small for a D end and too big for a linebacker. There was no place for him. Now we switch to there's a place for that edge rusher, and you're seeing smaller defenses. You're seeing a linebacker out, another DB in, and they're playing the pass. So now does it become cyclical, where now you say, okay, well, they're spreading out the defense and they're lighter, so let's run, and maybe the running back becomes valuable again.
Bijan Robinson's got to have the weight of the world on his shoulder, because between him and Jahmyr Gibbs, you need one of these young dudes to ball like crazy, to not get hurt, because that's the thing that quietly...
You need a Ezekiel Elliott type season out of him.
Yes, 100%.
Rookie year, and obviously he got the contract after that.
Because that was the kind of the thing that undid Saquon, is there was a big injury in the middle of what were a couple of really great seasons.
No, but I think the real problem is, and I'd be interested in your perspective on this, because you're in the financial world. You're someone who could probably run an NFL team. I think you could run an NFL team. So, and I know you want the players to make as much money as possible, right? But would you pay Zeke Elliott the amount of money that Cowboys were paying him when you get the same production for less money from Tony Pollard? Because that's really the conundrum for running backs.
100%. Right, I've got to ask that question about the Saquon situation, because every Giant fan wants to know, what do you think what Joe Shane should do? I'm like, listen, Joe Shane will be fine. He knows what he's doing. But you have to weigh those two answers, right? As a player, right, I want to see Saquon make $100 million a year.
Of course.
Right? But also, if I put an executive hat on, it's like, okay, what is the value of this player based on our roster, our scheme, you know, his value to not only the team, but the community. You got to add all that stuff in there, right? And whatever that is, for this price, is there any way that we can get that same value for lesser?
Right.
And then you do the numbers and so on and so forth, and you come out where you come out. But I think both sides played their cards or the cards they were dealt as best as they could. The Giants did exactly what they did. They put out a marketable contract for him to sit on and think about, and said it's in your court. He set out for whatever. And he came to the evaluation that, okay, this is what's best for me in my career. And I think honestly, Saquon is smart enough to know that, like, maybe I'm giving up some on the table here, but like, I'm in New York City.
Right.
And what that value add is to me, other than, you know, being somewhere else. I'm not gonna say any other teams, but like New York City versus XYZ.
Sure.
And what that means to me off the field revenue, off the field exposure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think all that came into play for him to sign that deal.
The other thing that has gone around the Twitter world that I think everybody needs to, the inside truth on is, why don't other players give up money for the running backs? And first and
The
foremost,
quarterback specifically.
people
Mike.
talk about the quarterbacks.
Right.
That's the biggest crock, to say the quarterback should take less and help the team. It's a capologist of the team's job to know what Joe Burrow is about going to get paid, what T. Higgins is going to get paid, what Jamar Chase is going to get paid, and to figure the cap out for the next 5 years. It's not the quarterback's job, or the Andrew Thomas who just got paid as the O-tackle for the Giants. Not their job. Their job is to maximize their value, and that's what they're doing. But also then to say, and I know, Mike, I want to let you talk about this, to say, let's shift around how we pay other players and give them less to give running backs more. It goes to that Liam Neeson meme where he's asked about equal pay for actresses and actors. And he's asked, well, would you take a pay cut? And he's like, oh, no, I'm not.
Now you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Right.
No player X is not going to say, I'm going to take less so player Y can get more. Not going to happen.
Aaron Rodgers just took $35 million less.
I was going to say, you've got that, and you've got, I saw, and
But that, do we want to go why we think he took $35 million less?
No, but I do think I do think the quarterbacks have enough power and leverage where if they're like, hey,
But they can't if they, my point is they can't.
I'm sitting out until you take care of this guy who runs the ball for us 400 times a year.
They can if they want help money-wise, but it's not their job, right? It's not their job. To
look out for their teammate?
Well, it's not. Their job is to maximize. It's, again, the capologist's job to figure out how you fit it all into the cap. And especially when you talk about moving around tags for the interior linemen.
oh yeah, Mike Florio, I got my eye on you, all right? I see you print that again. Talked about splitting up the tag because he wants to try and short money for the interior offensive lineman. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to borrow from you, Stugotz.
I love it.
Mike Florio, you should be ashamed of yourself for that.
Yeah.
Those fine, large lads are going out there putting their bodies on the line for everybody else, and you want them to make less money? Terrible.
Now, don't get me wrong.
So despicable.
Stugotz, we know Brady did that throughout his career. He
Yes.
didn't get his full value.
Mahomes is kind of
Mike,
doing it right now.
I'm not saying they should take less money. I'm saying they have the power to go to
Wait.
the owners, to the GMs, and the coach, and they could say, hey, I'm not, until he's taken care of, my teammate, the guy who runs the ball for us, who averages, in Eckler's case, has 37 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons, pay that man. And when you pay him, I'll come back and play.
Wait, I saw
Gotta
Justin.
be careful, man.
I saw Justin's Brady dar go up right over there when you brought that up
I
too.
love Tom Brady. No, I'm actually being serious. I actually do love Tom Brady. But like, there's circumstances, right? And if I've made $200 million or what, pick a number, right? $100 million in my career, and I'm solidified, and I'm still playing well to a point where I have a relationship with the owner and the coaching staff to say, like, listen, guys, you know, a big part of our success is this guy. Now, I'm not gonna. I probably wouldn't go and say, like, I'm gonna sit out, or I'm gonna whatever, you know, stomp my foot and say you need to pay this guy. But I'll go and definitely, and many people have done this. I'll go to bat for him. We need this guy here.
Yep.
I'm not gonna tell you how to do your job. You the capologist, you the owner of the team, you the head coach, well, who was in the room. but we need this guy here, and I've seen the effect that he has not only on the field, for what I do, but also for the team. And that, I think, that's the way to play there. You don't go in and stump your feet. But at the end of the day, we're all expendable. You talk about this being a quarterback league. No, this is an owner league. And the worst thing you can do is being this hotshot young quarterback is to get that owner on your bad side. Like, yeah, they're gonna, you're the guy that's gonna drive that team forward. But as soon as they have an opportunity now to get rid of you, they're gonna remember that because you handled this situation wrongly. And I'm just giving you things that could happen and could go wrong when you think about someone trying to, exude their power in a situation where at the end of the day, you're still an employee, right? You're a high-paid and you're an important employee, but you're still an employee. So you always got to weigh all these options. And I think a lot of times in sports, people are so quick to say, well, if I was him or whatever. Well, listen, put yourself in that situation. You're an accountant or you're, whatever it is that you do. You're probably making good money and probably making either less than someone else that you're doing the same amount of work with or more than someone else. Are you going to say to your boss, is like, you know what? Chris on the second floor brought in the same numbers that I brought in. Why did he make $10,000 or $100,000 less than I did? You're not going to do that. So why would you expect this quarterback who's getting paid or whoever that position is to get paid to go in and say, hey, man, Saquon, we gave him $11 million, but we should have gave him 14. So,
I mean, there's an example. Justin Herbert's a guy who just signed a massive contract. He's a young player, but if he walks into the owner's office and says, "Hey, you got to take care of Austin, man. What are you doing?"
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, sure. But I wouldn't, if I'm Austin, I wouldn't want Herbert to go and say, I'm going to sit out.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe if Herbert just decides on his own, hey, I want to do this for my
that is totally
he could have.
fine.
Right.
And I think that's what's expected from a leadership of a team, right? Sure. Regardless of what the position is.
And as Mike said, maybe he did. Maybe he did say
right. We have no idea.
As Justin said, and I agree, you don't go and stomp in your feet.
Yeah.
But if you go in and say, hey, man, we need this guy, let's get it going.
Well, and if you start sitting out for it, and then it's like, all right, well, how many spots down on the roster are we going to start sitting out when somebody needs a payday? Like, all of a sudden the fullback's coming to you, and it's like, hey, man, listen, big year coming up right now. Really help me if you walked off for a few of these training camp practices. It's like,
where does it stop?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where does it stop? Like I say, Baltimore, you have Justin Tucker walk into the front office and be like, hey, listen, we got to pay this Lamar Jackson guy.
Yeah,
right?
but this is the problem. These running backs who are running the ball 300 times a year, scoring a lot of touchdowns. They're seeing tight ends getting paid, or cornerbacks, in the case of Diggs with the Cowboys, $95 million. They're seeing a tight end from Notre Dame today get $50 million guaranteed.
Great job, Cole.
And Austin Eckler's sitting there going, hey, I had 40 touchdowns the last 2 years, and I'm making $6.3 million a year.
It's a fair argument, but the market is what the market is.
I know.
Just for the sake.
Yeah.
They've exploited a market inefficiency. It's all they've done.
I'm in finance now. There's a lot of things in finance that is a commoditized business that used to get paid a lot of money to do it.
Right.
That world is over, right? And
But you don't blame the GMs, right? You would do the same thing?
It's a market-based reality.
Exactly.
I used to sell X, Y, and Z and got a commission of X, Y, and Z. Well, in today's market, I sell X, Y, and Z and get a lot less than what the used to be X, Y, Z is.
Yep.
And there's no need of me sitting here fighting with the world and saying like, well, in 1980, if I sold this bun, I would have got this commission. Well, guess what? It's not 1980.
Right.
Yep.
And just like in 96, 97, or whatever years, Emmitt Smith was the highlight of that offense. Everything ran through Larry Allen and Moose and whoever else was in that little gap
Eric
right
Williams,
there. When that happened, everyone knew, like, we have to stop that. Well, in today's offense, it's Patrick Mahomes sitting back there 4 wide and Kelsey running around and looking for the hole in the defense. That's what you have to stop now. Yeah. And then it opens up to the running back. It's a different model. It's a different.
So, last thing on the running back, because I'm sick of talking about the running back.
Thank you.
Because it's another thing that gets brought up all the time in social media is, oh man, young kids are going to stop playing running back. Mike, you always gave the reason on this of the size of a running back and how that's just not going to happen.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if they could, they would play another position, but it's the most accessible body type, one of the most accessible body types and skill sets on the field.
I got a great answer for that question. Last night, my barber was cutting my hair. Guess what position his son, who's 12 years old, plays? Two positions. He plays running back and defensive end. And I'm sitting there as a former defensive end, and I'm telling him the financial side of playing DN in this league and running back in this league, and he was like, I'm definitely playing running back. Because it's like
because he wants the ball, he wants the touchdowns, he wants the glory,
right?
Well, and he also might not turn out to be 6'6", 270.
He's a big kid.
Oh, he's a big kid. Never mind. Put your hand in the.
Yeah, but some of them might not turn into.
Think about it. Trust
me. Looking at him and telling him, because I've worked with him a little bit on his hands and all this. He's a phenomenal athlete. I actually think he's a better defensive end now than he is a runner.
How old is this kid?
He's 12.
Oh my God!
But
all right,
you were insulted, weren't you, that he wasn't?
I kind of was, but I also get it because if you go back to when I played football, I wanted the ball. No one wants to be. No offense, we both played DN. We're in the trenches. Nobody wants to be a guard when you're 12. Nobody wants to be a center. Nobody wants to be a defensive tackle. Nobody wants to be a DN. They want to be quarterback. They want to be the wide receiver. They want to be the corner. They want to be the quote-unquote glamorous position.
Yeah.
So to your point, I think football, unless they literally take the running back position out, there's always going to be enough talent and kids that want to play running back.
Yep. And I said, there's kids in the audience. Don't let them make you play offensive line. At least at the start. If you become a big old boy, do big old boy stuff.
They're paying O-line pretty well nowadays.
They are.
I can say, unless you can be like Zach Martin, if you have that choice, be Zach.
Yeah.
Do that. Highly lucrative,
Speaking
great
of someone
dude.
who needs to be.
Yeah.
Did you grow up wanting to be a lineman, though? You did not?
I didn't have a choice. I was an aggressive, chubby kid. They never let me do anything else.
10 to 26, you were a guard or a center.
Oh, until I showed up to Pittsburgh as a rookie, and all of a sudden I look up on the board, I'm a rookie undrafted free agent walking into Pittsburgh, and they called me right at the end of the draft, and they're like, oh, we're thinking about drafting the 6th round. I'm like, all right, stop lying to me. We're going to take you as an undrafted free agent. I'm like, all right, perfect. You're one of the highest guards left on our board. I'm like, there's not that many guards left, but okay. And so I show up to off-season, I got a rookie mini camp weekend. So it's basically just like college football in shorts and helmets. It's a bunch of really bad football players out there. And I was like, all right, this would be good, be able to go out here, do my thing. I walk in and look in the depth chart. They're like, all right, Mike, we got you a right tackle. I said, whoa.
How many times have you played right tackle in your life?
Exactly 0. I had lined up at tackle, not even high school. I played center in high school. That's what a dead dog average athlete I was. And so they put me out at tackle there. I was like, first off, thank God that training camp was when James Harrison went to the Bengals. Didn't have to deal with that on the edge.
Yeah.
Because my God, no, I didn't want those problems. I'm trying to figure out how to kick slide. You have to be so strong and fast to play out on the edge and block guys like him. On the inside, everyone's big and they just want to run right through you. And I'm like, all right, I can be a speed.
Just wrestle this guy here.
Yeah, we just all pop each other in the head. Hey, big guy, you're good over there. We'll get you every once in a while. But got put out on the perimeter, and that was my wake-up call to, oh, it's different up here. And so, kids, again, start outside if you can. Get that experience early because eventually someone might surprise you with that when a job's on the line, and all of a sudden, if you're not ready to answer those questions, not only do you get cut, but you get put on your ass, and that part.
The great line is that wide receivers can go to the slot, cornerbacks can go to nickel, or they can go to safety. And each position can shift to something else. Offensive guard, their next thing is they're a fan. They go from guard.
That's the next move.
To the front row, yeah.
Yeah, and a fan who's probably needs some assistance getting up and out of the seat at that point.
It is God Bless Football. We are live from New York City here. It is brought to you by My Plan from Verizon, the plan for fans. I am wondering if Justin Tuck, there's one restaurant in South Bend, Indiana, and it has one table left, and Golic and Justin Tuck walk in at the exact same time, okay? Unbeknownst to each other. You have no idea that the other one's going to be there. Who's getting that table?
You want me to answer that question first?
You go ahead.
Because Golic walks around like he's the mayor of South Bend still, right?
Either Golic's going to get the table or they're going to go get another table and put them together and we're going to eat together.
Yeah, that's probably.
We're going to find a way to eat together, but if only one could get it. He was a much better player than I was in the game, and he has 2 Super Bowl rings.
Right.
So that trumps.
Well, I also had the sack record until my guy Isaac Gafowski.
Yeah.
That was my way of just shouting out Isaac Gafowski.
How'd you feel when that happened? People always say records are meant to be broken. Did you actually like that?
There's literally every time somebody got close. Stephon Tuitt was the first one that got close, and then he went to the league, and I was like, dude, stay another year, break my. Because honestly, I got so tired of people asking me about it. It's not like everybody's like, you don't want them to break your. It's not like they paying me to keep it.
Really? When I would have athletes on who had records, I would ask them. There was wrestling at Notre Dame when I was there. My brother Bob wrestled, and I wrestled at Notre Dame as well. And I hold the record at Notre Dame for the quickest pin, 13 seconds. I got a pin. And I would
Still a record.
Well, because they dropped wrestling, so. So
It's a fun life.
I get asked every now and then, did you ever want anybody to break your record? Hell no. No, man. Absolutely. Now, listen, if somebody broke it, I would go and shake their hand and say, congratulations, good job. But I'm not sitting there. I'm hoping they don't. I would love to go to the grave owning that record.
Oh, so you have the 72 Dolphins theory on life. You're popping bottles as soon as somebody stumbles on the way to your glory.
His 14 seconds of it, that's like, yes.
You suck.
He got the program canceled.
As a player that had a lot to do with that record staying with the Miami Dolphins. You're welcome, Miami.
Oh, yeah, hey, listen. You got to walk into Miami and get royalty.
All right, I'll give you a selfish component of why I like the fact that he broke it. Because now I can tell people, well, he broke it in X amount of games and only played 2.5 years and had that record.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You like that.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for me because now I don't get asked about it anymore. And every time I have to sign a Notre Dame autograph, I don't have to say 25.5 sacks, Notre Dame all-time sack record, blah, blah, blah.
Would you sign that on the ball?
Really?
They would ask me.
Every
Really?
time?
Not
That's
every
so many
time,
words.
all the time.
But you know what's
How
better?
about just take my signature and that's enough?
I had figured
It's like
it out.
a
See, I was
small
really smart as
novel.
a kid. I don't know if anybody does this
appreciate
when you're a kid. You just feel like you're going to be a popular player, so you start signing your autograph when you're 5.
Right.
My autograph was two symbols. Without the number, it was.
yeah.
You know how easy it is to sign that when we had to sign.
And then it became a paragraph.
Now it's.
But you know what the better story is? Where you said
When I was a young
he
man.
broke my record, but I was only there 2.5 years, is he didn't break my record, and I was only there 2.5 years.
I don't know. His way kind of has a little bit more bite to it. Because it's like, oh, congratulations, you're doing amazing, sweetie. This is
Well, listen.
fantastic.
I mean, like Stephon Tuitt should have broke it. Then we had. Who else came out?
If they had counted the sacks that I gave up to Tuitt in 2-minute drill on Thursday every week during practice, he'd have broken that in like half a season.
And he had my face mask. It was just right for him to do it.
Oh, let me tell you what, that Stephon Tuitt, for any of you guys, and Steelers fan in the room, you remember Tuitt, that kid walked in, he's from, I forget where in Georgia.
Yeah.
Walked in, that kid was one of the most country-strong dudes I have ever seen in my life. We used to go in and bench with like chains on the outside and stuff, and I'm in the chains weigh like 65-something pounds each, and I'm in there thinking I'm big and strong. He walks in, they put like 285 pounds on the bar and then throw the change on. Tuitt hasn't like lifted a day in his life. Really.
Yeah.
He's just big.
Just on the form, strong.
He gets in there and he's just ragdolling that thing. And so from then on out, we'd show up for Thursday, we'd do 2-minute drill in practice. And the defense would run nickel. So we ran a 3-4-2. It was the 3-4 defensive end. So he'd be out over the tackle. 2-minute, he kicks down a 3 technique. You run so much empty protection. So I'd be up there praying to any God that would listen. For the love of God, point the mic right. I played right guard. Because then you got the center sliding to help your way. And I promise, if you looked on film, you'd have seen moments that Mike's 57, he's over to the left. Oh, God. Oh, God. And just hold on for dear life because you watch 2-minute drill as a team the next day.
Yeah.
And my offensive line coach, we're sitting in the team meeting room, and all of a sudden, I am 6'4", 295 pounds. Again, dead dog average athlete. Don't put me at tackle, please. Stephon Tuitt is 6'7", 295 pounds, and I watched him run away from an entire offense after he scooped and scored a fumble. Like, that man is built different as an athlete, and he would line up one-on-one across and be like, how many of those am I supposed to win, coach? He felt like it was a lot more than I did, and so we had a few disagreements on Friday morning. So, again, Stephon Tuitt should have broken that record. I can firsthand tell you that.
Oh, but yeah, so like, yeah, I'm
You're okay with it being broken?
Nah, it'd be different if like I was getting a damn check every year in the mail. It's like, Justin, congratulations, you still own the Notre Dame sack record. Here's
your money for it.
This has been a major burden lifted off your back here, it seems like. And Mike is still holding on to his wrestling record.
God gave
he's not even have to worry because he's not even worried about it.
They dropped wrestling
anymore.
Right.
He's gonna be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
He's good.
I tell you how seriously my dad takes the records that he holds. Dad, what was the pool you belonged to as a kid?
Oh, Manry Pool?
No way.
In Willowick, Ohio, Didn't you guys own like a relay record?
We owned a relay record since 1974 that was broken maybe 5 years ago.
Oh, let it go, Golic.
And when I was in front
Did
of
you go back to the pool and cry?
I was in front of a huge group of people, and the other people and the guys in the relay were there. It was like Cleveland Awards of something, so I was 1,000 people there. And I brought it up. I said, oh, my guys are here that are part of the relay. We held the record for 30-some years. That was recently broken. And I said, somebody tweeted me because I was doing the show at ESPN and said, hey, my guys broke the record. And it was expecting me to say, oh, congratulations to them. And I said, drug test them. Drug test
I need you to go in the bathroom and pee in this cup.
I
know what a Wizinator looks like, too.
Yeah, I want that record drug test. And 2 of them failed the drug test.
Oh, my.
All right, I'm going to end this with a game, and I apologize in advance. Okay,
Oh,
we
God.
have 2 minutes to go here. It's God Bless Football Live from New York City, brought to you by my plan from Verizon, the plan for fans. I apologize, again, in advance for this, okay?
God, can't be
The name of the game is Tuck Yeah or Tuck No.
Was that the first?
That was a cleaned up version.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was Tuck It or...
Yeah.
Once you said that, I was like, that
Yeah.
wasn't your idea.
I-
I'm sure your name.
You are absolutely right. Shout out to
I,
Mikey A, our producer.
And I think this is the part Mike was alluding to about, the friendship.
Embarrassing.
after
Yeah.
that.
Go ahead.
We tried to run him into the hard out. We told us we had 2
Nah,
minutes left. We
I will not be deterred from this game.
Who came with
Peeing
these
in the
choices?
pool. Peeing in the pool.
Ooh.
Tuck yeah, tuck no.
Tuck no.
Really?
What?
Really?
No.
Peeing in the shower?
Am I in there by myself?
Yes.
Yes.
Tuck yes.
Peeing in a lake?
Maybe.
Tuck yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes will you use the shower even though, like, you have the option of shower or using the actual toilet? I will just go to
I
the
feel like
shower.
this is TMI.
Right? Okay.
I pee in the shower all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
I do.
Slapping a play like a champion sign when you haven't won a championship since 1988.
Wow.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Yes.
Tuck yes.
Tuck yes. You
Tuck
wanna know
yes.
why?
Why?
You know why?
Yeah.
Because we're champions in so much more than just football. Where did you go to school?
Boom.
I went to Clark University. Go ahead, have at it.
Clark University.
What is it? Where is it? Worcester, Massachusetts.
Wow.
God.
Yeah. Division 3.
Division
How
8.
did he get up?
Top 10 in the scoring in lacrosse, though.
You read our resumes and then.
all his lacrosse games were on the
Related to
Ocho.
him.
I wish.
I was just going to say, that's a step up.
Losing your golf cart and acting like it was stolen. Tuck yeah, tuck no. Mike Golic Sr. did that.
Losing my what?
He lost his golf cart.
Back in
South
South
Bend.
Bend.
Somebody stole it.
There's so many things I can say here. If you lose your golf cart, you've had a really good time on a golf course.
Boom. There you go. There
Was
you
that
go.
a football game?
Oh, no. It wasn't a football
It
game.
was a football
Nailed
game.
it.
Eli or Peyton? Eli had a better career than Peyton Manning. Tuck yeah, tuck no.
No.
No?
Did Eli have a better career than Peyton?
Than Peyton.
No.
Won 2 Super Bowls.
Peyton did too.
So did Peyton.
I know, but he beat Brady. He was your quarterback, man.
Listen,
I mean, I love your honesty, but
Listen, I
Analysts,
love Eli,
analysts.
and
Gotta be
everyone
an analyst.
knows this, but like,
Yeah.
Peyton is arguably the
This-
best quarterback ever.
This, Justin, is where Stugotz tries.
Yeah,
Before he tried, because this is being broadcast live, it's going to be everywhere.
If
He
Peyton-
wanted you to say Eli.
Is Peyton and Eli right?
I would say
I
Eli.
would say I am grateful for having Eli as my quarterback, and I would never change that.
Okay.
That I would definitely.
What do you think? What do you think?
But the greater quarterback, just stats alone, right? It's not an argument. Now you could have asked me a bit harder question. Is Eli a Hall of Famer? And I'd have been like, Tuck, yes, he should have been a Hall of Famer 2 years ago.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
But
Fair.
brother had a better.
what is Eli better at than Peyton? It could be on or off the field.
I can't say.
all right, last one. We'll get out of here. The 18-1 Patriots were the best team of all time. Tuck yeah, tuck no.
Tuck, no.
All right. Thank you to everyone for coming out. Thank you to Verizon again. Verizon, the God Bless Football Live here from New York City is brought to you by My Plan from Verizon. The plan for fans, giving fans the ability to watch their favorite team even when they're not living in the state that
Anywhere.
they live in. Yes.
Anywhere around the
Seriously,
Anywhere.
thank God.
And don't tweet me about I chose Peyton over Eli. I did not choose.
Oh, we know it's
Eli.
gonna-
You already. My phone. My phone is gonna ring off the hook.
No, in all honesty, I was trying to.
It's gonna be a mob outside my house.
And I tried to do it quickly just to hope that I would sneak it in and you would say the wrong thing, and then it becomes news everywhere.
Love you, Eliza.
How do you feel? Are we friends now, or no?
People don't even really know Eli's real name. Everybody thinks his real name is Eli. It's not. That's another thing.
I didn't know that.
I know you don't.
How do you feel about me, though, as we wrap this thing up?
Exactly.
He said, "How do you feel about me?"
That's all I care about. Anyway, thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you.
Go Jets.
Thanks, guys.